Hey tankers, and welcome to the gameplay review component of our analysis of the new Tier 8 German premium medium tank, the KampfPanzer 7RH, which is the subject of the current Crystal Challenge Marathon in World of Tanks. This is probably the too long didn't read version of the review. Hopefully you're catching this YouTube video from my Wix site. If you're not, I'll put the link to that article below where I go into a little bit more technical and comparative detail about this vehicle. So this is going to be a fairly interesting replay analysis for us because we are bottom tiered, which means when you are bottom tiered, it's super important that you are playing to the role of the vehicle. Otherwise, you're just going to get stomped by superior machines when you are trying to play like a square peg in a round hole. So I'll talk a little bit about the features of this tank. It's probably one of its standout features is its mobility. 65 kilometers per hour forward speed, 25 kilometers per hour reverse speed. Now, 25 kilometers per hour reverse speed is about as zippy as it gets for reverse speed, and that allows you to sort of take a shot and then rapidly sort of duck back into cover before your enemy has the opportunity to acquire you and properly draw a bead, unless of course it's anticipating your position. Other aspects of its mobility, such as hull traverse, turret traverse, are also very good. Probably best in show for these sort of lightly armored DPM sort of medium tanks, and that's probably how how you'd characterise the KampfPanzer 7RH. It's a bit like a tier. Pardon the rain. A bit like a Tier 8 German Cromwell, if you like. So yeah, mobility's good. I've actually buffed it a little bit further with a use of a turbocharger, and that's because the base power to weight ratio of 23. It's average, but it's not great, and oftentimes you want to be playing it as sort of like an intermediate range sniper, which means climbing hills, and when you're climbing hills you want the extra power to weight ratio. The other benefit, of course, it gets you a couple of extra kilometers per hour on your maximum forward and reverse speeds as well, which can be quite handy for those situations where you're ducking back and forth from hard cover. So that's the mobility. Let's talk about the firepower. And as an example, let's line up on this Shah Future 4, and 194 is what we damaged there, which is a slight low roll. Its average damage per shot is 200 alpha, which is actually quite low for a 90mm gun on a Tier 8 medium tank. Normally they sort of sit around the 240 HP alpha. But the difference between this is it's got a base reload time of 4.8 seconds, and that gives it an effective damage per minute of 2500, which is the best in show as far as other lightly armoured Tier 8 medium tanks is concerned. With a gun rammer, of course, you can buff that up to 2,750 DPM, and it gets sort of better still with brother-in-arms crew and vents and that sort of thing. I haven't on this occasion put a gun rammer on this vehicle. I've actually gone with a low noise exhaust to buff its concealment credentials and coated optics, because an intermediate range sniper without coated optics, it just didn't feel right to me. So that's how we've set it up on this occasion. But look, if you were to put vents or a gun rammer on to really sort of maximise that DPM, I personally couldn't fault that decision. And as far as penetration statistics go, you've got 205mm penetration on the standard rounds. You can also switch it up to heat for 255mm of penetration, which is handy because like heat rounds, their penetration doesn't deteriorate over distance in the same way that AP or APCR might. One thing that lets this tank down in its ability to operate as a sniper is the muzzle velocity. It's got 960 meters per second on the AP round, and that's about as fast as you can send a round down range. It's sort of the rounds, they almost tend to sort of float down range, and when you're using the heat rounds or the high explosive rounds, they tend to just it just gets even slower. So it does affect its ability to sort of be used as a point and click interface. On the topic of HE rounds, they're quite a standout piece of weaponry on this tank, because you have 320 alpha. So if you're penning every shot, well, assuming you pen every shot, you actually have over 4,000 DPM with it, which would be absolutely devastating to light tanks, particularly on the fact that you have 90 millimeters of penetration on the HE rounds. So to that end, like if you felt it necessary to sort of get stuck in and start brawling with light tanks, you can start wrecking them quite quickly. I guess it sort of plays like this, which is why I've gone for more of a concealment angle with it. You see, we were able to sort of sneak up on that Lance and C. And yeah, I thought it was all going pretty gravy for us at this point in time. Then I looked at the scores and said, well, okay, we're actually 2 tanks down. We're at a bit of a hit point disadvantage. You can see the enemy Tier 10 Leopard 1 is also sort of repositioning back to the north. So. I'm here in the south. The Leopard 1's heading north. Our Leopard 1 looks like it wants to head west and join me. I just didn't really see us contributing to the battlefield there. So we're using our mobility to sort of reposition to somewhere where we can do some good. And in doing so, we find this Scorpion, and we're able to catch a flanking angle on it, which is exactly what you want to try to do with this tank. Unfortunately, the Scorpion, it almost gets out of visible range for us, but a lucky blind shot, and we send it back to the garage for our second kill of the game. I do apologise. I couldn't actually get the engine sounds to work on this replay, so we sort of we end up without that, but. Nevertheless, it doesn't distract from our ability to sort of showcase this vehicle's I suppose how you want to play this vehicle as a intermediate range sniper sort of flank attack, and using its mobility in order to do that. So I guess we've been somewhat made in the middle of the map here. Artie continues to follow us around the map. It was knocking on our roof a little bit earlier when we were sort of set up to overwatch the field. So I guess we can't get too carried away with the play. But look, thankfully, the disparity in hit points has narrowed somewhat. We're only sort of 1 tank down. But yeah, just important at this stage that I wasn't getting any flanking shots in, so it was necessary to sort of change direction and try and get this gun into the game. So we've got the we're sort of shadowing that Leopard 1. We've got the Super Conqueror in the town, where we're able to proximity spot them by sort of poking up there. Of course, he was able to see us in turn. We probably don't want to hang around here too long, because we've got a big open field behind us, and we don't actually know what's happened with that Lance and C and T-44-100. So we're going to sneak around. There's some low hit point enemies, so we want to try and make best use of our DPM to try and take some of these lower hit point enemies out. So we assist with taking out the Leopard 1. Now there's a considerable acute hit point and numbers disadvantage for this Super Conqueror, so let's get in on the fight here and get as many shots as we can into it. Couldn't quite draw a bead on the Batchat artillery that sort of passed through the background, tracking shot into the Super Conqueror, and it gets sent back to the garage. Of course, that Lancer that we were a bit concerned about earlier has crept up and made its move, so we're trying to get into some cover, but unfortunately Gunjaman 92 in his Lance and C ends up sending us back to the garage. But because we're good sports, we're gonna hang around. We're gonna see how this battle plays out. So a quick review of our teammates. We've got our artillery piece that's on half health. We've lost the side of the enemy T-44-100, who's able to spot our SPG, and the enemy artillery is able to take him out. So the T-44-100 proceeds on its merry way. Hopefully I've switched to another tank soon. I don't intend to make you watch a burning SPG wreck for the next 5 minutes. Okay, we're following it. T-44-100 not looking in a particularly healthy position. All right, so we're following the Object 277. This guy's had a fantastic game so far. As a top tier heavy tank, he's taken 4 kills so far. And we only have 2 tier 8 medium tanks and a self-propelled gun left in the game. And while we have 2 tier 8 medium tanks and a tier 10 heavy tank, so all going well. This game will land in our favour. So looking quite positive for us here. Enemy batshot artillery takes out our T-44-100, but of course our Object 277's on the ball and takes their 6th kill for the game. So that's a Top Gun medal for Burn Bull Crazy 59 in the Object 277. So final play now. We've just got this very low hit point medium tank and our heavy tank. We also have 3.5 minutes left in the game with which to try to track down the enemy batshot artillery. However, I'm not going to make you hang around for 3.5 minutes, and we're going to speed this up. And whoo, have you ever seen an M42 move so quickly? Hunting. We sort of get to a point in the battle here, however, that if we don't start capping soon, and we end up on the wrong side of the map, that we could end up with a draw, with the successor being a lone artillery piece. And it's certainly not the badge of honour anyone wants to be going back to the garage with. So our teammates move to capture the flag, and that is game for us. So let's take a quick look at those results. So victory is ours, and we've come away quite nicely with a level 1 mastery badge for that one. Not too many other medals to pick up there, although we did manage to get the Fire for Effect medal for causing at least our hit points in damage. So for that you want to be doing at least 1,350 hit points in the KampfPanzer 7, which is about sort of 7 penetrating hits. As far as the team scores go, we've actually placed quite well, nowhere near as well, of course, as our teammate in the Object 277, who's just had an absolutely fantastic game, and of course the T-42 who was able to hold out to the end. So that's basically the KampfPanzer 7 RH. We've sort of showcased its ability there to operate as a highly agile intermediate sort of sniper. We didn't really get a chance to talk about its armor, but look, it's probably best not talked about. The armor is not an outstanding characteristic of this tank. It's flat. It's vertical, and it's quite thin at sort of 80mm on the turret, 75mm on the side, which is not too bad if you do a little bit of reverse angle side scraping to bait shots. But I honestly wouldn't encourage that. That's pretty well an act of desperation. With this tank, you really sort of want to be maximizing its DPM, maximizing its concealment values, and just sort of trying to play as that intermediate bush sniper, and preferably operating from as many alternative angles as you can to sort of catch catch unsuspecting tanks in their flank, as we were able to do on a couple of instances in that game. Sort of when we took out the Rheinmetall Borsig Scorpion and the VK7501K. I wouldn't encourage a hell of a lot of shot trading as we had with the Shah Future 4, but because you just sort of don't really have the armor to do that. Although you do have the advantage in that with just 1.4 seconds of aim time, there's a good chance that you can acquire a target before your enemy does. Yeah, that's the KampfPanzer 7RH. Please check out the more detailed article on Wix. I'll put the link below, and we cover a lot more of the technical characteristics and of the tank there. In the meantime, we also feature replays, so if you have any replays that you'd like to see featured on World of Tanks with PR154, please get in touch over Discord or at any of the other links below, and we'll do our best to sort you out. In the meantime, happy tanking and take care out there.